Hello everyone, how are you? We are going to move on to the 8th lesson for Somali writers in 52 short stories, and today we're going to talk about a couple of different things, but we're going to start with the difference between obstacles and complications. So an obstacle is a person, an object, or event that stands in the way of a character's goal. Remember, hopefully, and it causes the character to waste time, effort, and stop to think. Imagine that you're going to school but you missed the bus. Or, for example, you need to open the door but you lost your key and no one's home. However, think about it. Suppose you found your key and now you go home, but now you can finally go home, so you got in. So there you go, problem solved. So obstacles are temporary setbacks, just temporary. They can be anything. Just think about what could go wrong in a story. So just does your character need to be somewhere at a certain time? Do they need to find something? Suppose your character needs to talk to someone. Suppose the character does not want to talk to someone. Um, even right now when I was recording this video and then suddenly my computer just acts all crazy and I had to fix it before I did this video. So think about this. An obstacle is another word for temporary setback. Okay? So it's just temporary. I fixed my computer. Everything's fine now, but it's just temporary. Okay? Now, a complication is different. A complication, yes, it is still going to be a person, an object, or an event that changes the story's direction. Imagine that you're going to school, but you miss the bus and end up walking. I suppose you meet the love of your life, or for example, suppose you open the door and find out that one of your family members actually moved out and they didn't tell you. So complications are important to a story because they make the story more interesting, more longer. Another word for complication is plot twist. So with a complication, a character is reaching their goal, but it's just something happens to them. And this is that thing that's going to derail them and may even make them not reach their goal at all. So, but think about this though. If you don't add any complications or obstacles to your story is going to be way too short. So think about the things in your life that hold you back personally, whether it's lack of money, physical ability, experience, disability, uncertainty, age, obligations to family or loved ones, laws, false goals, self-doubt. Everyone who's ever done anything worthwhile has had obstacles or complications, whether it's rebellious people like the Sayed, peacemakers like Martin Luther King or Gandhi, artists like Walt Disney, athletes like Michael Jordan, um, business people like Bill Gates. All of these people have had obstacles and complications one after another, but they just kept on trying until they reached their goals. So there is no way that you could just smoothly just get what you want without going through obstacles and complications. So I'm sure there are way more people who have goals who just walk away from them just because of obstacles and complications than there are the people who actually continue on despite that. So in school, you're taught a lesson and then you're given a test. In life, you're given a test that teaches you a lesson. So it's very easy to give up if you cannot get your goal. Whatever your goal happens to be, it's just very easy to say, I'm just going to give up. And there's always going to be obstacles that are external, that's true. But at the end of the day, there's usually way more that are internal, whether it's traditions, fear, guilt, grief, loss, etc. So instead of giving up, look at the obstacles and complications as a life test. And it's not enough just to wish and pray. Well, not that it's wrong to pray, but I'm just saying it's usually not enough just to wish that your problem is going to go away. That's usually not going to fix anything. Usually you're going to have to take action. So you're going to have to take action. Of course, just, remember, like perhaps maybe your actions may not be successful at first, but at the end of the day, if you keep trying, you will get it. So, but if you don't try, then you won't get nothing. Okay? Now, what about time? Suppose you're describing time in a story. You can use different things like the weather to describe that it's sunrise. You can describe it with meals, whether it's breakfast, dinner, lunch, whatever. Buildings, historical events, historical objects, like maybe an Elvis Presley record. Um, You can show with the clothing, with the hair, with the news, things like that. Okay, that will let you describe time. So when you're describing time, try not to just say, oh, it's 6 o'clock. Like, try to describe things that would make people infer or think that, hey, maybe it is 6 o'clock. Okay, so now when it comes to ways to write a story, some writers, they plan their stories from the end of a scene. So, and not that you have to do that, but when you do want to write a story, think about whatever your ending happens to be. So, whatever the ending is, what you want to do is make a list of all the obstacles that could happen to them, and those obstacles and complications are what's going to turn into your story. So, try your best to, make that list while you're brainstorming your ideas. Like, suppose somebody says they want to finish college. Think about this. Okay, what would be the obstacles for you to finish college or finish school? Maybe no money, your teachers are hard, family emergencies, friend emergencies, no transportation, no support, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so there's a lot of things that could be obstacles. It could be complications. I suppose instead of finishing college, somebody proposes to you and says, let's get married and not finish. So, what are the complications of a story? So whenever you want to write a story, think about the end and think about what are all the problems and things that could happen to stop that or stop your wish, your idea. Okay? So just think of any story ending and whatever else could go wrong to while that person's trying to reach that goal. So what we're going to talk about or write about this week is a revolt. So a revolt is when there's an attempt to overthrow those in power, to rebel, or to refuse to accept something. Now, there's maybe a lot of conflicts that could come out of revolt or rebellion story. It could be because of injustice, idealism, politics, fairness, power, fame, money, humanitarian. There's like so many things. And honestly, when you think about Somalia, oh my goodness, you probably could write a million stories about revolting against any of these things, to be honest. So there's like a million things that we should be revolting against. So, but just think about, a story that you could work with this week, okay? Definitely make sure you have somebody who's the rebel in your story. Think about the person who's the tyrant in your story. And the way that it probably should flow is that in the goal is the rebel can't take any more abuse. Then you have the tyrant who's maybe the rebel's boss, leader, parent, etc. Disaster, the rebel gets pushed to the breaking point. Reaction, how is the tyrant's actions against the rebel's beliefs? Does anyone betray the cause and doesn't want to join? And then at the end, hey, the revolt happens. So, um, so the Somali soldier wants to get paid. A general, well, this for example, sorry. So for example, a general has a lot of money, but the soldiers haven't been paid in months. A Somali soldier has a family emergency and he needs money for his sister's operations. The soldier is very upset and does not feel like it is fair. One soldier thinks they should wait and not ask for money. The Somali soldier refuses and he makes the general pay them. Okay, he's like, everybody, we're quitting and we're not going to be soldiers anymore, and unless you give us money. So everybody's going to quit. So think about whatever your story could be. What would be your revolt that happens? Whether, write your 6 steps that should happen in 6 minutes, 1 hour, 6 hours, and write 100 to 200 words for each step of your short story. Okay, so write all the steps that could happen in your short story. So either way, remember, don't forget, write a short story every week. It's not possible to write 52 bad short stories in a row.